Let's go build some Lego! Welcome to That Viking Lego Guy. A video series on how we can build some really cool stuff. And in this first episode that we're going to do today, we're going to do everything about scenery. So get set for this really cool video and we're going to get going on it. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're actually going to make a bunch of trees and stuff like that so that we can make a scene. Now what I like to do is I like to draw out or sketch out what it's going to look like a bit. What I like to do is I like to make a 3/4 view of a plate so that I get kind of an idea of what I want the tree to sort of sit on. And now with 3/4 view of the plate, I can sort of draw like blocked in versions of pieces of Lego that I would typically use, and then draw out the foliage as to how I want it to look. And then it helps me to understand what I'm trying to achieve. And so in this, we can definitely see that we got a blocked out tree on the platform. I think we should just get right down to the business, get the Lego out, and we'll start actually putting it together, okay? Okay, so as we were talking before, we get in a bit of a base plate, right? Let's bring in all our stuff that we're probably going to end up using. So what I like to do is I like to go through some of the pieces that are like the tree branches and stuff like that. I like to pick out some really odd like kind of shapes. Mostly a lot of the brown slanted pieces. This allows it to look like there's a bit of a trunk and stuff like that. Also, you know, I like to go through all the foliage that you can find. There's 2 different colors for these leaves. There's also a smaller version as well too, which I really like to use. I think it gives it more depth. Also, as we work on the base of the plate too, I like to put in a little bit of grass and foliage around the base. That gives it a full look as to what it's going to appear like. So, for me, it's just a... So we got our base plate, we got some of the really interesting ground pieces that we are going to use to build the trunk. Also, have your handy dandy little orange Lego pry piece off. I don't even know what they call this thing, but I love it. It really helps you out when you make a mistake on something. Anyways, so best thing I like to do is I like to build a base. So something that forms out a tree, basically. And get creative. Don't worry about how your tree is going to ultimately look too much in the end, because you know you'll probably end up changing some of the things that on it that you liked or didn't like, right? And you know you'll change your mind as to how you want it to shape up. And I'm just going to keep rotating this stuff around until I get the shape that I'm looking for, right? But effectively, you just want to build whatever it is that you. Oh my goodness, these are strange pieces. Build whatever it is that you like to see as a tree. So I personally just like a lot of different branches going into a lot of different directions and stuff like that. This helps to build some really interesting depth on the trees. Right. So there you go. There's pretty much your trees, your arms, right? And then just go ahead and go crazy and just start adding on your foliage. So all these like really good green pieces, whatever you want them to look like. And make sure to give yourself some variety, right? So adding the colors in where you'd like them to be added in. That way it has a very full tree look. And to pay homage to one of my favorite artists, Bob Ross there, it's going to be a happy little tree. So, happy little tree all around, guys. Okay? So as you can see, it fills itself out pretty well. You can also add other pieces on for branches, so that way it gives it a more full look. Okay? And for the most part as well too, when we were talking about the ground, you know, you can add in a little bit of, you know, tiny little bushes, happy little bush here, happy little plant there. And as you can see, this didn't take very long to do. Really a couple of minutes really to put that whole entire thing together. Okay. Okay, so now really we can graduate onto the bigger scene. So I'll bring that out in just a moment. So this is the tree that we basically finished with, right? As you can see, you know, this is the kind of design, all right? So we're gonna toss that out the side, and we're gonna bring in the full scene and what we were trying to create. As you can see, we got lots of different trees going along the edges. I built up some of the root system with a little bit of green bricks, some flat ones as well too, but I also put in a lot of the like jungle plant material. I like using the flower stems to make it look like it's like a bit of grass. I even put some mushrooms in here if we want to get down and take a closer look. So we got mushrooms in the scene, and as you can see too, we got some chests full of rubies and some other treasure items and stuff like that, and that's because I actually like to create scenes that are kind of like role-playing scenes. So I'm going to add in some characters to show you what I created the scene for. So as you can see, I'm adding some villains and stuff like that. We got some goblins here that are looking like they just found some treasure, and I'm going to add a couple of interesting other characters, very much like an adventure scene. Here's our Viking of the day. It's kind of a cool character. Got a barbarian style character going on here as well too. They all look very menacing. And what scene doesn't have a wizard? Because you need the range fighter. Good Scots, you know, to be a good battler with a sword. And one of my other favorite characters in the whole wide world, a dwarf with a big old shield. He stands in there because he's crazy and he's gonna go psycho on the goblins. And what scene is not complete without like some kind of elf archer of some kind? There we go. And of course I'm knocking foliage off, but that's okay. We can always reattach it somewhere. Alright, and there you go. And this is how I feel you can set up really good scenes with some really good trees. And I have another exciting one that I put together, which was a Lego set. So if we just push that aside. And this was from their 3-in-1 dinosaur set. And I thought it was pretty cool. I have a T-Rex attacking a Triceratops with some awesome foliage in the background. That tree is a little bit bigger, but it's the same principle. So this concludes this episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. As you can see, we've got some pretty cool Lego stuff out here, and I dare you to try it. And remember, best tool in your box is your imagination. See you again.